Welcome to the Home Education with Ease podcast. I'm your host, Christine Furman, a homeschool mom, entrepreneur, and educator with over 20 years of experience in the areas of elementary and special education. It's my mission to help you create lifelong learners and embrace a holistic approach to education at home. I'll be sharing practical strategies, inspiration, and resources to support your family. Whether you're a stay-at-home mom, a business owner, or balancing work and homeschool, you're in the right place to connect with a community that values education just as much as you do. Join us each week as we ditch the stress, embrace the joy of learning, and set your family up for a lifetime of success. Hey friend, welcome back to another episode of the Home Education with Ease podcast. I'm your host, Christine Furman, your home education expert. Well, today we are going to be talking about finding peace in our home, in our life, and in our educational journey. So if that is you today and you are like, yes, I want more peace and ease in your life, in whatever capacity that is like, or wherever you're at, whatever season of life, I want to know that. So join the Home Education with Ease Facebook group and let me know, what does that look like for you? What do you want that to look like? What do you want that peace and ease in what part of your life? And if you could change one thing, what would it be to give you that peace? So as we are wrapping up our time here in Pittsburgh for the summer, we've been here for about 3 weeks. I have talked to a lot of families, primarily moms, but also dads as well, saying, I want more of that. I want that peace and ease that you're talking about, Christine, but I don't know how to do it. How do I do it? So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about how can we start to change the dynamics of our home. How do we start to have that peace and ease? So what I started to do was I started to reflect back and say, well, how did I get this way? Because I can tell you, I 100% was not this way. I did not feel this peace and I did not feel this ease. And a lot of things have come up. Conversations have come up. Scripture has come up. The church sermon that I listened to today came up. A podcast that I listened to, all was about this. And it really made me think back. So when we talk about peace and ease, we feel that like relaxed feeling. Now, the world that we live in today, that is not the feeling that we have typically, right? Our world today is go, 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 constantly on the move, constantly doing the next thing. What else can I do to keep moving forward? What else can I do to, around the house? What else needs done, right? It doesn't matter where you're at in your season of life. There's work that needs done. The house needs, tasks that need done in the house. Either that's chores, typical everyday chores, or projects, right? Maybe you own a business. What projects need done? What things do I need to be doing? Again, daily, weekly, monthly, big projects. Or let's talk about homeschool. What needs done? We're going to talk about this today and how can we start to have this feeling of peace and ease and not feel rushed and not feel stressed in these times. Now, this has taken me a lot of years to kind of get to this space because I know I was not at that space. I know I was go, go, go. When my kids were little, I wanted to do all the things. I wanted to fill our schedule. And guys, I am that person that if I look at my calendar and this will reflect back on my trip here in Pittsburgh too. And I'm going to share a little bit about that with you as well. But I can look at a schedule, and this was before 2020 for sure. And it comes up, it creeps up for me whenever I'm here in Pittsburgh. So I'm going to just share a little bit about that. But I can look at it and say, okay, well, I have an event at 9 a.m. and I have dinner at 6 p.m. Sure, I could add something at 1 p.m. as well. Why not? I can fill my day, right? But the problem with that I started to notice, and I actually was doing this week for myself, there's no room for rest. There's no margin for a break. You are going from one thing to the next. So we were here for 3 weeks in Pittsburgh. And the first 2 weeks, I planned and made sure that we had time for rest. We had a lot of family time. And if I had, a day blocked off that we are going to go to my mother-in-law's and help clean out the garage, that was a day that was blocked off. I didn't plan anything else that day. But then as the weeks and the days go on, and I only had 1 week left while I've been in Pittsburgh, of my time here in Pittsburgh, I was like, oh my goodness, I have got to cram in as many things as I can because I have to be intentional with my time. Now, while we're in Pittsburgh, we have both of our families here. We have 40 years worth of friends here. And we have to try to get all of that into a schedule in the short amount of time that we are here. So the word for me this entire year and the word for this trip is intentional. I've had to be very intentional about my time. In the first 2 weeks, I was pretty good at that. I was pretty good at being intentional and saying, yeah, I have time. Like, let's meet up and let's go do this. Well, as my time started dwindling, I started to cram more and more into my day. And guys, holy cow, did that leave me feeling stressed, exhausted, just overwhelmed? Now, did I see and meet and talk to a ton of amazing people? Absolutely. But there was a day that I met someone for brunch at 11:30, met someone at 2:30, so basically in the same parking lot, okay? I met them up in the adjacent parking lot of where I was for brunch, met them at 2:30, spent time with them until I went back to the original restaurant, picked up a friend, and we went out with other friends that evening. So from 11 a.m. until 9:30 p.m., I was with people. Different people, right? 3 different sets of people. But I left no room for margin. I was exhausted. And the way that we're going to talk about this today, the way that this is going to, weave in to our educational journey and how we want that peace and ease in our life in the different seasons, right? Like I said, homeschooling or business or life in general, right? Being a mom, being a wife, working. You may have a full-time job as well, in addition to all of the things that you are doing. So how are we being intentional with our time and building in this margin that is helping us to have this peace? Because I know when I run and run and run, I get stressed. I am running on fumes, even though my schedule said that I have time, right? Even though I had a margin and I said, oh yeah, I could squeeze one more thing in there. Then guess what? I was exhausted. And that leaves my emotions high. My sleep is not great. And it allows for that stressful feeling to happen, that overwhelm kind of feeling, right? So this all applies to educating our kids as well. Because if we feel like we are rushing and going from one thing to the next and not really having a plan and just kind of saying, yeah, we could do that and we could do this and we could do this, and then we don't have a plan, then how are we going to feel? We're not going to feel that peace. We're not going to feel that ease. We're going to feel that stress, that overwhelm. So I would love to know, share with me now in the DMs or anywhere that you connect with me or in the Home Education with Ease Facebook group, what area of your life do you feel is that stressful space? And what is one thing that you could do if you could just take it away? What would that be? And how could you change it? And what would it feel like if it wasn't there? What would it feel like if you actually had peace and ease in your life, in whatever space that is, whatever piece of your life? Let's look at one thing. right? Take a moment and focus on one thing in your life. Homeschool. What would it look like to have more peace on your homeschool journey? Let's just focus on that now. But you could do this for every area. What would it look like to have more peace in my business, for my job, for motherhood, for my house, right? What would it look like? And what I started to realize is as we are talking, as I've been talking to other moms and families, I started to realize a lot of times we are putting the pressure on ourselves. So if that is you and that resonates, I would love to know that, because I know that was me. And probably sometimes still a little bit me. But I go back to the bigger reason. Why are we doing this? What is the purpose? What is my purpose? What is God's purpose for my life? And am I abiding to his plan? Or am I trying to make my own way and make my own plan? Sometimes if we lose focus, it allows for this stress and this overwhelmed feeling to come in. And I know that has happened to me. So I want you just to imagine for a minute, let's only talk about homeschool now, right? We're educating our kids at home. And I want you to imagine that you wake up on a Monday morning and you are educating your kids at home. You are home with them. And what does it look like? Are you saying like, yes, we have a plan. We're good to go. I know exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to let them, here's our routine, right? Let them sleep in. We're going to have breakfast. We're going to read. What does that look like for your family? I want you to picture that in your head. If you could just have the perfect Monday morning. Now, we know that that doesn't always exist, right? We know that it's not always going to be perfect. We know that there are things that are going to come up. And being flexible has been something that I learned when I was teaching in the life skills classroom that has been a game changer for me. Knowing that it's not always going to go as planned. And letting go of some of that control. Surrendering it. And saying, you know what? It's not in my control. And I'll tell you something. I know that when there's an event that's not in my control, I have way less stress. And I know that may sound weird, right? But like the hurricane happening and we had a leak in our house. Our fence got broken, whenever a tree fell on it. Or just different things like that. That was totally out of my control. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm not upset about it. It is what it is. We're just going to have to, what are the next steps to fix it, right? What's the solution to the problem? How are we going to fix this problem? But if I don't leave room in my schedule to plan appropriately, I become frustrated with myself. And then that frustration bubbles over to my children, to my husband. And there's a couple things that can happen. I could freeze and I could say, you know what? I don't want to do anything. I'm done. I just need to stop. And then nothing gets done. Or I could be in this fight mode where I'm just angry at everyone. And I don't want to be that way. So think about it. Or flight, right? And we just leave. We just don't want to deal with it. So there are definitely things that we need to take inventory of our life and see where we are. Are we being intentional with that schedule? Are we being intentional with our plan? Did we take time to map things out? Or did we just willy-nilly it and say, I'll figure it out, it's fine. And I know that's like on me, 100%. Like, I'm like, it'll be fine, I'll figure it out. Until I have to figure it out and I didn't leave time or room or get the resources or the supplies that I needed. And now I'm scrambling. And how do I feel in that scramble? That was me this past week. Guys, I'll just be 100% honest with you and transparent. I had an event on Saturday. I had 2 weeks here. Now, I should have planned for this event while I was in Georgia. right? I have my printer there. I have all my supplies there. I have everything that I need in Georgia. And I have some supplies here in Pittsburgh, okay? But typically, I have to go and get papers printed because I don't have access to my printer, right? That's a cost. Yes, I have to pay for ink at my house, but I can print what I need to print and not feel that pressure of, oh my goodness, how many copies of these do I need? What do I need to print? Oh my goodness, I don't have a banner. Let me order a banner within 24 hours and hope and pray that it's going to be ready in time. This was real for me, guys. This really happened. I did not plan accordingly, and I was rushed and stressed to prepare for this event. Now, I got it done, but I could have alleviated so much of that by having a better plan, by knowing exactly what do I want to take to the event, what supplies do I need, what did I need to pack, what do I have in Pittsburgh, right? And then I get to the event and I'm good to go. Now, after I set up the event, after I got there, got everything set up, and started talking to a few families and interacting with the kids, because that is my favorite. I mean, I love talking to the parents, of course, but being able to work with the children and make a craft with them and just see their smiles and play a game with them and take some pictures, like I just love that. It lights me up so much. And then explaining what EduPlay Learning is to these families just makes me so happy. Just getting that awareness out there to say there is a better way to educate our kids and I can help. And I had one of the moms share this beautiful testimony about how I've helped her family on their homeschool journey this past year. And it was so beautiful. It brought me to tears. And sometimes we might not think we're making a difference until we realize we are. And she's like, I need a plan for this year. I need to set up a specific space in my room. I said, great, we can do that. Take some pictures, take some videos. I will work with you and we will make this happen. So those are the things that I'm talking about here. Having a plan ahead of time, being intentional with our time, setting up intentional space. So then that way when it does come to educating our kids, we already know where we're going to do it, right? We already know what we need to do, what the schedule's like, what the routine is like, what the rhythm is like. And then what I love to do as well with you, working with my clients, is what are the priorities for your family? What's important to you? And we need to put that first. If devotions are important to you, that needs to happen. If getting outside is important to you, great, we're going to build that in. What do you need for your family? If you need a break because you have a business, so we need to work with the kids early, so then that way you can work on your business in the afternoon, great, let's figure out that schedule and that plan. Because we all have a full schedule. It's how we fill it, and it's how we are intentional with that time and those priorities and those projects. That's how we become successful and peaceful, right? That's how we accomplish those things successfully, right? And become peaceful. The other thing is knowing your child's strengths. If your child loves arts and crafts, great. Let's add that into our schedule. And let's make that a way that they can learn. How can they still learn their letters and numbers by doing an art project? Guys, I can show you. That's what I love to do. By taking your child's strengths and weaving it into all of the skills that they need to learn. It's not just saying let them do arts and crafts all day. No. It's disguising the arts and crafts as educational moments, as teaching moments, right? Oh, great. We're going to do some arts and crafts. How many pom-poms do we have here? How many pom-poms do we have here? How many do we have all together? Boom, there's a math lesson. right? While you're doing an arts and crafts lesson, I'm going to read this book over here. Now we're reading. And I promise you they are listening and they are absorbing, even if they seem distracted. How would that feel if we had a plan that was easy? So remember, it's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be perfect. It's not going to be Pinterest perfect every day. I promise you that. We are going to have challenges. We're going to have struggles. We're going to have moments of frustration between us and between our children. But it means we're going to have direction. You're going to have guidance. And you're going to know exactly what you're supposed to be doing because you have a plan. And that's where I come in, because I had the mom say to me, I just need a little help organizing this. I said, I got you. It's exactly what I love to do. Let's dive into your schedule. Let's figure out where's the best time to work. Where's the best time to do schooling with the girls? Where's the best time to take a break? What about a field trip? Right? Looking at your individual schedule and figuring out what is the best time. And we're going to do that. And that's what we talk about. So I'm just going to share this with you here. If you've listened to the past few episodes, you've heard me talk about the workshop that I'm doing, the live interactive workshop. And we are going to be doing that Wednesday, July 29th, 30th, and the 31st. So 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Those 3 days. A 3-day live workshop to build a personalized plan for your family. And we're going to talk about all of this stuff. What are some of the ways that you can educate your kids and be intentional? How are we going to set up this plan? How are we going to look at their strengths? How are we going to look at the priorities? We're going to go over all of that. All right. And here are some ways that we can educate our kids without it feeling so heavy. You can read. Snuggle up on the couch. Get a good book. It could be a chapter book. It could be a picture book. It could be a history book, a science book, the Bible. Snuggle up, read together, talk together. That discussion is so important. That reading together is so important. And guys, it may only be 5 minutes. Okay, we're going to keep building. All right, great. We read for 5 minutes today. Tomorrow, we're going to read for 7 minutes. Now, 9 minutes. Now, 10 minutes, right? We're just going to keep building up their attention span, one little piece at a time. Another thing you could do is you could jump in the kitchen and you can start cooking together and just talking to your kids while you're cooking, talking to them about the ingredients, talking to them about health and wellness, talking to them about making a recipe or the math component of it all. So many skills just in the kitchen. You can even be building Legos and practicing math skills. You could be practicing problem solving, building things, designing things. Depends on how your kid's brain works. All of these skills are great tools. And we're going to dive into that to say which tool is the best fit for your child and your family. So just remember, I say this a lot, that learning happens everywhere. Often people ask me, they're like, oh, do you homeschool all year round? You know, they often ask my kids, are you guys off for the summer? And my kids really don't know how to answer because they're like, well, I mean, we still practice, we still do morning work, and we still read together. And, you know, we're still doing things together. So yes, it may not be totally a normal fall through spring schedule, but they're not just off. They're not just on screens all day. They're not just, you know, yes, they enjoy their summer and they go running and they go playing and, you know, but they also are intentional with their time. We also read. And it may not happen every day. And it may not happen, you know, all week. I mean, this past week in Pittsburgh, we've been busy. We haven't done a single thing, and that's okay. They have made new friends. They have spent time with my mom and my dad and their family. They went to the movies. Like, all of these things are so important in their development. So while it may not look like a typical school day, they're still learning. They're still doing things. So just keep in mind the different things, and I want you to kind of take an inventory. What does your child love? Think about like the 5 love languages, right? Where does your child thrive? Do they want extra time with you? Do they thrive with love, doing things with you? Do they want to be moving? Do they want to snuggle up and read? Where do they thrive the most? Keep an inventory of that. Start kind of taking mental note of that and saying, oh, you know what? I think they really have the, random acts of kindness. They love to do that. It lights them up. Or they love it when we spend one-to-one time together. Think about those things as you're going through the next week and just start noticing those small little things. Oh, you know what? My kid loves it when we read a book and they're always asking me to read with them. Take note. So let's just kind of close our eyes and imagine what your life would look like 1 year from now if we were able to address those areas in your life that felt hard, that felt overwhelming, that felt stressful. How are we going to help make them more peaceful and stress-free with ease, right? So what would that look like for you? Would that look like your child reading confidently? Because instead of doing what everyone told you to do, you started focusing on your specific individual family. You started focusing on your child's needs instead of all the noise that's out there and saying, you should do this. But what if they needed a little bit of a different approach? That's something that we could do. What if you started trying new things? What if your kids started helping around the house and accomplishing things to, one, help with the household chores, take a little things off of your plate, and building responsibility, giving them the confidence and the independence that they need for this life? What if they started cooking you dinner? Think about all of these areas and think about what can we do to make these things happen for you and your family. So this is where I want to invite you to the 3-day workshop that we're going to do. And we are going to come up with a vision for your family. We're going to come up with that personalized learning plan, some priorities that are important for you and your family in this season of life. What does that typical routine look like to start building that peace and ease? Because guess what? Our kids love to know what's coming up. They want to know the expectations for the day. They want to know what the schedule's like. And if it is over and over and over again, if it's typical, they have to do this, and then they have to do this, and then we do this, and then they just know, and it becomes a part of their day. It doesn't become another task. You're doing that like habit building, right? All right, well, every morning when you wake up, I want you to get up and your dirty clothes go in this particular basket. That's it. That's where they go. No questions asked. If they're on the floor, decide what the consequence is. I know for me, a few years ago, I would see socks all over the house. And I was like, what is happening? Why do we have socks just everywhere? I said, next pair of socks that I see, I am taking $1 for each sock. And they were like, what? $1? Well, there could be 5, 6 socks around. Typically not 5, but maybe there's 5. Who knows? Sometimes you take off one sock and you leave the other one. I don't know, right? That could be $6 that you're going to owe me, right? So they started to be more intentional. They picked up their socks. They didn't want to face that consequence of having to give me their money. that they've earned or that they've been given, right? They started to clean up. They were more intentional. That's what it's all about. It's about us being intentional. It's about our kids being intentional. So we're going to talk all about that. Obviously, there's so much that I want to share with you here that we're just scratching the surface of it. So I'm inviting you to join me for the 3-day live interactive workshop. This is not just a sit here on a Zoom and I'm going to chat with you. No. We're going to be doing it together. And I'm going to give you a workbook to work alongside me. And you're going to have access to replays. There's a VIP option. So you can have access to the replays forever. You can have an extra bonus session. So definitely click that link below. Build your child's personalized learning plan. That's the workshop. It's going to be amazing. You don't have to figure everything out before you begin. We just need that starting place. We need to know, what do we do first? Because so many parents say, what do I do? I want to do this, but I have no idea. There's no way I could homeschool my kids. I promise you, you can with just a little extra help. And that's where I love to link arms, walk alongside you on your educational journey, and help you every step of the way. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Thank you for tuning in to the Home Education with Ease podcast. I hope today's episode left you feeling empowered and ready to take the next steps on your home education journey. Your support means the world to me. Please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend. For even more resources, be sure to join the free Facebook group, Home Education with Ease, and visit eduplaylearning.com to explore our programs and subscription kits. You can find the links and any other links mentioned in this episode in the show notes below. Remember, you're not alone. This community is here to support you every step of the way.